Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your class in research methods for agriculture. So in this video, we're going to discuss about scientific method. And I know scientific method is a hi, Jory. I just
Hi, ma'am. Mayong buntag, ma'am.
would it's all right if you're traveling, okay lang, and since si kisa geto kaubanin mo isa
Maga.
si Marie gave is also not online. So every time na wala mo, I'll just record a video that you can watch later on. No? So again, good morning, and for this meeting, I'm going to discuss in continuation to what we have talked about last time, which is introduction to research methods. We try to differentiate common sense versus science, and they are, as we have known from previous discussion, that they are both the same and different, very different, but they are also alike in some ways. But with in response to reasoning and explanation, so both cognitive function or thought, they are all the same. But in terms of methodology, of course, science has a fixed and objective ways compared. Although objective and common sense, but common sense are very direct now based on our experiences. And of course, each of us, iba-iba yung experience natin. So, iba-iba din ang ating. Sometimes we don't meet into one agreement. No? So, again, I'm going to talk about, wait lang, the scientific method. So, when we say scientific method, of course, for previous biology subjects that we have 7 to 8 or even 9 steps in scientific methods. So, and at this point, we will go into detail into different methods or steps. And to define, it entails formulation of hypothesis from observed facts, followed by deduction or what we call conclusion, and verification repeated in a cyclical process. And eventually, a scientific hypothesis becomes verified or become a conclusion, and then verified and then repeated again and again before it becomes law. Like in the end of this presentation, we will try to recall or to realize what how does law how does law derive from. So I have here a fascinating fact that even if your brain is if you are sleeping on night, your brain is still working, and in fact it's even working more in night than in day. So our experiences are very open to every day. Our daily lives are very open and to our experiences, um, and the time when we sleep at night, it doesn't mean that our brain are also stop working. So actually it is very busy encoding what was happened on the day. So that is what is meant by this fact. So when we say facts, these are, of course, observations which are taken to be true because we have observed that it is happening, so it should be true. So some bamboo species like moso can grow over 4 feet in just 24 hours. It's one of the amazing facts that we have not known maybe. So what are these steps in the scientific method? We have the observation, the hypothesis, the experiment, the data collection, the conclusion, and then retest, or like when you have when some other colleagues want to try your result, then they're going to retest it, and then we should publish it and present it in various fora or any other event. So hypothesis is a tentative conjecture regarding the phenomenon under consideration. So it's just like a wise guess. That's what we all know. And about something that is happening. So you make, oh, why that is this is glowing. So like in this tree, a group of developers are taking the glow in the dark enzyme which are found in certain jellyfish and fireflies. If you remember, you have seen fireflies before. So this bioluminescent trees are injected with this enzyme. So these trees could passively light up public streets while being energy neutral or energy free. So at night they can be used. So this has been, hopefully this will be successful in the near future. So they have found a an enzyme which is bioluminescent. So why not try this in other things? So like so you can have bioluminescent trees. So deductions or conclusion are made out of the hypothesis, of course, through logical arguments, which in turn are verified through objective methods. So before a conclusion or a deductions are made, so you must go through the scientific method. So the steps, and it should be logical. There is nothing or argued without logic. So, and then verified using specific methods that include statistics, proper randomization, and so on, or sampling. So a strawberry is not actually a berry. An example of a berry is banana, and berry is actually a multiple fruit and is not a berry. But they are usually called strawberry. So, but they are not actually um, biologically and morphologically berry. So the process of verification may lead to further hypothesis, deductions, and verification in a long chain. No, it could, like in the area of plant breeding. No, like we have here as in the figure, the golden rice. Now this has been since the 1990s. This has been the major research in rice production, in rice, in rice value adding. So they are trying to make the white rice, make it uh, yellow with the addition of the beta carotene. So you can it can supplement the vitamin B deficiency and more nutrients. So they are trying, but until it went through a very long chain, and until now we are still expecting it to come out in the market. So before so there's a long chain now before scientific theories and principles and laws will emerge. So the two main features of the scientific method are repeatability and objectivity. So when you repeat the study, the same result will be obtained. And objective, if you can count, you can specify a concrete number, a concrete no, concrete na objective variables. So there's a type of jellyfish that lives forever, and yes, scientists have been using this to find a way to make stem cells using this process to renew dead, damaged human tissues. So hopefully that would be also successful. So they said that jellyfish will live forever unless they will be killed. So hopefully we can make use of this knowledge for for um for well longevity and health. So the science of statistics is very helpful in objectively selecting a sample. So that's one of the basic objectivity of an experiment in making valid generalizations out of the sample set of observation, and also in quantifying the degree of uncertainty in the conclusion made. So we all know now on our next lessons or presentation, I'm going to show you how statistic is done in experiment, because there are two ways of studies. It could be qualitative or quantitative, or researchers that are done in sociology or social sciences, or in experimental natural sciences. So um, as you can see here, one of very that when we say objective, you can always count them. You can always see concrete example or concrete variable or number. Like for a baby, it has more bones than a grown adult person. No, so 270 bones by 260 bones. So that's a fact. So there are two major practical aspects of scientific investigation, and these are collection of data and interpretation of the data collected. So in every experiment, scientific experiment, you should always have a data, and we call them variable or independent variable and dependent variable. And of course, from our previous knowledge on scientific method, we have known that the dependent variable is the one that the data, like the growth of plants, like the weight um of live chicken or swine. So those are the data that are dependent, and there are also data that are independent. So this depends on the treatments that we are putting in. So a teaspoon of honey is the life work of a 12 piece. So it just means that hard work. So the data part and the interpretation of the data collected is really a hard work or life work. So the data may be generated, of course, through sample survey on a natural existing population, or design experiment on a hypothetical population. Like you only get the samples, no? Even we also have survey that we only get from a selected sample of persons or a selected sample of population in an experiment for plants. So there are also ways to generate data through simulation techniques, which replace large-scale field experiments, which are very costly and time-consuming. So later on, you will understand more what is simulation. So all in situ studies or field studies involving non-interfering observation on nature can be classified as surveys. So this corn is a member of the grass family. Of course, corn is a grass. It's under the family Gramineae. Experiments serve to test hypotheses under condition under controlled conditions. So in an experiment, it's not actually, it's very controlled. You're trying to control every variable, every factor, no, for all the aspects of the experiment. So that is what an experiment is in order to test the hypothesis. So for another fascinating fact, a single ant who knows that it can live up to 29 years. So moving on, like the basic principles of experimentation are randomization. So you have to randomize your samples. So it means you do not only you're not biased on selecting your samples. So you make random selection. So you don't only concentrate in one aspect or one set of samples, but you try to generalize or randomize each aspect. And of course, you replicate them, and local control, which are prerequisites for obtaining a valid estimate of error and for reducing its magnitude. So an octopus has 3 hearts and the color of its blood is blue. That is just to relate that the principles of experiment should have this run, should be random, should be replicated, and locally controlled. So random allocation of the experimental units to the different treatments ensures objectivity. Replication of the observation increases the reliability of the conclusions. So if you have data to show that, what makes your conclusion or deduction reliable. And the principle of local control reduces the effect of extraneous factors on the treatment on comparison. So if you have different treatments, that makes them objective, and if you have replication, it makes reliable conclusion, and local control will also reduce external factors. No, if you are very if you control them. So on our next topics on statistics, we'll be dealing about how to design your experiment. So we have a lot of designs on the field, like the randomized complete block design, the completely randomized design, and so on. So experimenting on the state of a system with a model over time is termed simulation. So if you are using a model or usually these are computerized, so these are called all simulation. When you want to like using a model, and usually mathematical model in computerized. So usually like I have tried to study also simulation before using the soil and water assessment uh, tool to predict the growth of plants. So using a software. So with increasing, this is in relation to climate change. So increasing its temperature to a certain degree as expected. So that is an example of a simulation. And also Japanese scientists have successfully created an MRI or rest imaging. I'm not sure what I forgot the term, but it's an MRI machine that can record your dreams and reconstruct them for you to watch while you are awake. So that is just one of the advancements of science today. So hopefully that would become very feasible. So surveys and experiments and simulation are also essential elements of any scientific research program. and be embedded in some larger and more strategic framework if the program as a whole is efficient and effective. So when these experiments and surveys and simulation become a very efficient and effective, then it becomes a program or a network. So if you don't know yet, the Skittle and jelly beans contain crushed insect cocoons, which are used to coat the candies to give them that special shine. So actually, yung shiny na mga M&Ms natin or Skittles are actually from an insect cocoons. So systems analysis is the orderly and logical organization of data and information into models followed by rigorous testing and exploration of these models necessary for their validation and improvement according to Jeffers in 1978. So there's a particular system analysis that is orderly and logical or organized data. So, and these are eventually made into models. So, for instance, a theory may be formed after many related hypotheses have been tested and supported with experimental evidence. So, that becomes a theory, not yet a fact, but because of a lot of many tested hypotheses or evidence, so it becomes a theory. And then a broad and comprehensive statement of what is thought to be true, supported by considerable evidence, ties together related hypothesis. So that becomes a theory. So a shrimp's heart is in their head. So in making a theory is really very cognitive, no? The thought of thinking. So, and lastly, a law is a statement of fact that concisely explain an action or group of actions, like the law of gravity, which is accepted to be true and is very universal. So, from theory, it can become into law if it is universally accepted to be true, and usually are expressed as math equation, like the law of gravity by Isaac Newton. So if can you imagine the tree, which is the reason for the um for the discovery of gravity, it's where the Isaac Newton discovered gravity, is still alive and well outside of this childhood. So as you can see in the photo, it's still being conserved. So thank you for watching and listening for this video. And if you have questions and comments about that topic on scientific method, so please just comment or or message me in our group chat. And I hope to see you again on the next meeting for the next topic. So thank you and good day.